Khurana. Thank you for joining us for today's talk. For all those who are watching us live, I would request you to kindly write your questions in the chat box. We'll be taking up Q&A in the end of the session. So, the today's topic is on the discussion on MBA after architecture. The education provided in your journey to attain a bachelor's degree helps you learn the art of planning, how to design and executing the construction of any building in a systematic manner. At the same time, you understand the structural capacity of different buildings and the difference in their constructional method. After getting this education, you might question yourself by asking, what exactly can I do after architecture degree? One course of action you can take is to extend your knowledge and enhance your existing skills by opting for an MBA degree. To provide us more information on this topic, today we have with us a very young and dynamic architect, Ms. Tanya Shridhar. Tanya is a registered architect under Council of Architecture and has done her MBA in marketing. So without any further delay, let's start with the today's talk. Over to Tanya.
Hi everyone. So thank you so much for inviting me here. And before I start, so I'll just share my screen with you. Yes. So this topic is very diverse in nature, and I will try to cover as much as I can. MBA after B.Arch is anyway like a huge gamut. But before I start, I'd like to give like a disclaimer of sorts. This is whatever knowledge I have gained through 2 years of MBA and everything that I thought and I researched when I was getting into the field is what I've put in here. I would also like to tell everybody that please take this with a pinch of salt and do your own research also along with this. This will help you guide like in a particular direction, but ultimately it's your decision to make, and just ensure that you do your research on your own part as well. A little bit about me before I can go ahead. So I've done my architecture from Birla Institute of Technology, Mesra, Ranchi, and after spending 5 years there, I had a brief work experience stint of 1 year with ADP. ADP is an international architectural firm. There I was doing my designation there was an architect and a business development manager. So what I was doing there was that I was looking at the fact that the marketing of an architectural firm, how it's supposed to be done. So that 1 year is the year that defined a lot for me. It was some sort of a relevant work experience to make me understand what is there in the future if I suppose go for an MBA. I think it's very important that that is the point where I actually thought of making a switch. Post that, I went for marketing from MICA Ahmedabad, and there I have got my postgraduate diploma in strategic marketing and communications, to be precise. And now I have, after coming out of MICA, I have just graduated in 2020. In this lockdown phase, I have opened my own firm. It's called At Pundits. It's on the marketing aspect. And post this, I will be joining Titan as a management trainee. So this was my journey. And usually when I was like, if I look at myself and I was 2 years behind, and then I used to understand that if MBA is the thing for me or not, if architecture is something that I should stick into, there were a lot of apprehensions that were going in my head. Things like, I've already spent so much time and effort in it, and there's so much money also gone this 5 years. So should I just let it go to waste or not? Or things like, what if those management roles are not for me? Maybe I think that they are, but after a certain time, I realize that they're not. And also the fact that I absolutely love the field and I'm extremely passionate about it. So should I or should I not make a switch? Along with this, things like, I'm in it only for the money and the possible fame. So it might bring in. So what if this is the thing that one should understand and go ahead with, or there should be other reasons also that support your decision of doing an MBA. these are some of the apprehensions, and I'm sure that the people who are viewing this will also be having one of these or maybe a few of these apprehensions when they're going ahead. I'd like to make one thing very clear. When I was kind of trying to make this decision for myself, I realized that only, if you're going for it only for the money, that is not something which you should be looking at. You should understand that it has to come from a lot of aspects. The fact that you want to have a career in a management role, the fact that you think that this is going to build up your CV for the future, and the money is something that will come along the way any which ways. So maybe for an MBA it will come a little sooner, but for the others, for let's say that people usually complain that architecture in this field, we don't make up that much money in the beginning, and when we look at our counterparts from suppose engineering, and they are very soon they start making their money, so we kind of start feeling that this is a little disappointing. So I want to say that if that is the only and the sole purpose why you want to switch to an MBA, then I would suggest you think twice. While it's not wrong to think that way, but I think it has to be supported by a lot of other factors as well. Okay, and these are various career aspects that I have jotted down for a clearer understanding. Now, these have been divided into three buckets. The first one being you can take a M.Arch, or you can do an urban design, a master's in design, or something like a design management. So, a design management or a strategic design management, some of the institutes provide that way. There are some international institutes which also provide a design management plus an MBA, or like a master's of design and an MBA integrated courses. So maybe that is something that you can look at. That is one. So here what you see is that your connection with architecture remains, your connection with design streams remain, and a little bit of the management aspects is also added to the entire gamut of things that you're doing. The second bucket is construction management or project management. In that, what you can see is that it's like a mix. It's a mix of both. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. You are related to the field, but you're also doing proper management roles. So construction management and project management, the best one in India is from NICMAR, and there you'll realize that it's like a mix where you are guiding the whole project. You're managing, and you're in a leadership position of managing the entire project. And similarly, you will understand that you're also very much related to the field, but at the same time it's not something that you will be asked to design, so your that aspect of designing gets lost, but you're closer to the field in some aspects. So this is like a 50-50 mid path, it's like meeting midways. And the final bucket is when you are actually leaving architecture and going towards MBA entirely. So there, once you do your MBA, then you can go for different roles. So MBA, like in a general manner, like a PGDM that most of the IIMs provide, and or you can also do, if you want like a little bit of a relation to architecture field as well. Then there are options like MBA in real estate and urban infrastructure, and these are also some things that you can look into if you think that management is the way to go, but and you're very confident that even if the field gets lost in certain ways, there are some things that you're anyway drawing out of it. So the aspect when you think that there are five, you've spent so many years. There's some people who have after spending 5 years they've worked for 2 years more, and they think that they don't have as much of a knowledge as anybody else will, because they've just spent so much time in this field. So they kind of have this apprehension whether I should leave everything behind. To those people, I would like to say that architecture is a field in its way that it teaches you so many things. It teaches you things like structures, it teaches you psychology, it teaches you, space, and the way people behave in certain areas. So it just gives you an overall aspect of design, aesthetics, and it's a whole gamut of things. So you're not losing out on any of those. But in fact, you've come out of architecture as a very well-rounded person, and you know things in a more holistic manner. So I think that's very important to keep in mind in case you're convincing yourself to go for an MBA. If on deciding that you finally decided that MBA is the path for you to go, then I think these are the three steps that you need to keep in mind when you're going for a preparation for the MBAs. Suppose you've understood that MBA from India or from abroad is the way to go, and you're okay with switching fields and you're okay with working in different sectors, then I think the preparation that you need to do for that is these are the three steps that I've laid out. First is, of course, you have to prepare for those entrance exams, whether it is GMAT, CAT, ZAT, GRE. Either you do it with your job, or you take like a sabbatical, or you take a 1 year off, like a gap year, to prepare for them. My suggestion would be that you do it alongside the job, because that way you have a certain source of income also coming your way. And these MBAs are any which ways a little expensive, to put it nicely. So I think you should do it along with the job, and you can take like a weekend course if that's the thing that I did. I prepared for CAT and ZAT. I did not apply for the MBAs outside. When it comes to MBAs abroad, it is very necessary that one needs to understand that there's a difference. So there are two MBAs. So there are two aspects to it. One is if you have work experience, and the other is when you don't have work experience. If you have work experience of 3 to 4 years and then you take a GMAT, then you will be able to apply for MBA outside. But if you think that if you've just come fresh out of college and you want to go abroad and do your MBA, then you will not get an MBA degree. You will get an MIN, which is Masters in Management. Even though the degree is the same, but once you come back or once you join somewhere else, you will not be treated as an MBA in that case. So please keep that point in mind while you're applying. If you think that 3 to 4 years of experience and then you make the switch for an MBA abroad, that will make a little more sense in my opinion. And but when it comes to CAT and ZAT, it doesn't matter if you're a fresher. You can take, in fact, you can take CAT when you're in the pre-final year of your college, which is the fourth year, and then you can test it out if you are in it for the long run or not. And the preparation for CAT and ZAT is pretty simple. You can go for the courses that Career Launcher or Time or all these institutes provide, and you can build upon whatever are the entrance tests, and mock tests are extremely important for the process. The second point here is, once you're done with the entrance preparation, and suppose you have that offer letter in your hand that some institute is inviting you for the MBA, the second thing that you need to work on, I think you should work on it alongside your preparation to the entrance test, and that is to refine your resume. Because once you get into an MBA college, you realize that the moment you enter, it is sort of like a competition between different streams. So, because you are coming from an architecture background, and this is something I felt as well, there are times when most of us are not aware of economics, most of us are not aware of finances. So, brushing up on those skills are very important. Then, in terms of your resume, I think it's very important if you add up a little bit of the relevant work experience. For instance, if suppose you think that post your MBA, you want to work with an advertising agency, and so therefore, maybe like an internship of 2 months or something like a life project can help you get in, and can also help all these recruiters once you enter the MBA institute. First, of course, it will help you enter the MBA institute. Second, once you get in, then also it will help them. It will help them understand that you have already done something like this in the past. So maybe you will be a better fit for the company. Please, I've noticed this thing with respect to architects, that usually architects are not very active on LinkedIn. So I suggest that one should be very active in LinkedIn, and one needs to understand that this is the place where you'll actually get to interact with a lot of people. You'll get to network with a lot of people, and your strong profile is something that almost all the companies view. Your institutes also view before you join. The first thing that they do is they search you on LinkedIn, and they try to understand what all have you done. So it's like a resume online. So instead, just not just working on the resume, but also working on the resume online, which is LinkedIn. You should work on both. And the third part is the recommendation letters. If you already have experience, and if you can, if your personality can be backed up by essential proofs from your past employees, then nothing better than that. Along with that, the third point, which I kind of covered, that you should understand that it's going to be like a competition in terms of economics and finance, and you might just feel that there's a lack in it because you've not been trained that way. So it's nothing to worry. everybody is coming from different fields. Not everybody will understand economics. In fact, even engineers who will be comprising of most of your classroom, even they aren't very strong with the two. So it's just that you'll have to work yourself, pace yourself a bit. And if you can do some pre-reads before joining this, then I'd suggest you do that. Networking skills and reading skills are two essential skills that every MBA institute requires. So brushing up on those are also very important, which brings me to the final part of the presentation. Here I want to say that these are the careers, if once you're coming out of a post MBA, these are the three aspects where usually architects go to. First is, a lot of people have this thinking that they think that if they have their pure architect, like if they go to pure architecture, can they go back to pure architecture, or should they open their firm now? So I think for this, if this is your agenda, if you want to go back to pure architecture, if you want to open your own firm, then MBA and a 2 year course is too much of a commitment that you're providing to them. And I think instead of that, you can go for like a smaller course, or you can understand the aspects that you want to understand alongside your firm. Once you open your firm, anyway you will be learning a lot of things, but in getting an MBA degree and then coming back and reworking on your own firm is not required. It can be done, but it's not required. The two things which are star things for me, I think either you can go for like management roles in real estate firms, realty firms, or architectural MNCs, where you will be giving your architectural inputs as well as your management inputs. So both, it's like the best of both worlds. Let's say that aspect. Or you can leave the architecture behind and you can completely switch to different management roles in sectors like FMCG, FMCD, different sectors, whichever one that you would like to choose in the career. So this is the brief of whatever I can think of. Yeah.
So Tanya, it was very nice. The presentation was very short and very crisp, and I suppose the students who are preparing for their post graduations after, and maybe those who are planning to maybe shift or maybe like go into some another fields.
Yeah.
So this will help. So we have a lot of questions with us which have
Sure.
been coming up since. So to start our discussion, personally, I would like to ask you one thing. Like
Yeah.
when did you thought you are going to do MBA after architecture? Was it a pre-planned or you make up the mind during or after the degree?
Okay, so there were two triggers to this. First being that my brother was already doing his MBA from XLRI, and that was when I could see, then I could draw a parallel that if this is what he's doing, maybe I'll also get interested in something like that. And we have an age gap of 6 years, so I could get a understanding of what he's doing and where he's going. That was one point. The second point was, I think this was the first conditioning, and the second one, like I said, was during my work experience when I was asked to look at the administrational and the managerial sides of things as well. I was marketing the firm also, so I was learning a lot of things on the go, how to advertise an architectural firm, because there are a lot of rules when it comes to architects. You can't advertise openly also, you can't put up hoarding. So it's not the same, but things like writing articles for them, trying to create awareness, networking. That's when I realized that this is something very interesting and this is something that I'd like to take up in the future. So yeah.
Nice. So, secondly, what thought came to your mind while selecting a stream for MBA? You have gone for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
marketing, and did you kept architecture in mind, or you wanted to change your course totally? Like you have taken up marketing. There's a lot of streams which we have already discussed about, maybe project management, construction, real estate,
Yeah.
and but marketing is totally a different course apart from the architecture.
Yeah.
So, how did you actually thought of going to that?
So yes, so initially I was thinking of I was considering construction management also, but then I realized that I will anyway not be as much a part of the field as I would have wanted otherwise. So I thought that if I'm going in, so I should go all the way instead of stopping at a mid level. So I realized that this is not for me, and I'll take up MBA. And once I did, I realized that broadly, like there are four streams that people can divide it into. The first being finance. Finance, I wasn't very strong with, to be honest. So I thought that this is not for me. Then operations, again, supply chain and operations is something which usually architects don't take up because they've never been conditioned that way. And we've never understood those parts of things. But there are people who do. But mostly I've seen the case that these two are the things that nobody takes up. The choice usually remains between either marketing or HR. So this is broadly what people do. And between marketing and HR, I spoke to a lot of people and I saw a lot of examples and I realized that HR is a longer process. So if suppose today you've tried to implement something, so the results you will see after like a year or so, because you've come up with a policy, then people are going to react to those policies, and then it's like a longer cycle. So I wanted a bit of a creative side as well and quicker results as well, which is why I chose marketing, because the creative aspect is a lot. The design sense gets used for things like when you're marketing anything, for instance, even if it's like a small post that you want to put on Instagram, the design aspect to it is very crucial. And even once you join a firm, you'll realize that people are trying to, once they know that you're from design background, they know that you're from architecture background, they'll ask you for your opinion on design as well. So that's when I decided the marketing
No,
should be more.
that is a good thing when
Yeah.
there's there's a firm who is getting an architect along with the MBA intern or maybe
Yes.
an MBA employee, so they can work in the two-way manners. If I am not wrong, you might have also worked on this in manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there are times when if suppose I have to if I have to tell them an idea that this is what I'm thinking. So other people usually struggle with trying to visualize that idea. They'll have the idea in their head, but they'll not be able to show it to the boss. So I think all these architects, we take, we take that leap and we actually present it in such a beautiful manner that it just gets all the eyeballs in a meeting.
Exactly,
So
architecture is very
yeah,
creative field, so you get to think of all the creative thoughts. So
yeah,
you already told that you are working in Titan. You are working
yeah.
with Titan before, right?
I will start
So
from July. Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
so you might have gone for the placement drive for
Yeah.
that case,
Interns.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So in architecture, we hardly get any placement drives. We have never thought of placement drives, or we have not sit for any
Yeah.
interviews. All right. So
Yeah.
how did you actually prepare for the interview, the job
Yeah.
interview? Can you
So
elaborate on that?
yeah. Yeah. Sure. So it was very scary to begin with because you are competing with people who are mostly like a lot of them are from engineering background and they have done that in their engineering. They've they've looked at GDs, they've actually fought with each other, and they've done all of that. So it becomes a little scary as to how to convince the people. Firstly, you have to try and convince yourself why you are a fit for that job, and then you have to convince the other person in front of you. And it becomes a little easier for everybody else, but for an architect it becomes a little difficult. So I think a lot of preparation happens when you're preparing for your entrance exams. Once you're preparing for that, then also you give a lot of GDs, you practice a lot of GDs. So if you have taken coaching classes from someone, then they will also include PI knowledge, also how to go for person interviews, how to go for GDs, and how to present yourself. One needs to always keep in mind that if you think that being an architect is an advantage, then you have to show that to them that it's an advantage. You have to also you have to think in your head also, and you have to show it as well. So that is very important. You need to understand what your strengths are, what you can bring to the table as an architect, as a designer, as a creative person. So that is one thing that needs to be kept in mind. And the preparation is something which you will be doing in the entrance exams also. Then a little bit of knowledge that you've gathered in the first term of MBA is something that you try to share there.
So in case of an MBA, you go in for there are fields, there are subjects like economics and statistics. And
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what all subjects are there
Yeah.
in the laboratory,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So with being an architect and not understanding the economy and the statistics things, so
It
wasn't it a bit difficult?
yeah, it was not just a bit difficult, it was very difficult. And because we've actually looked at things from a very different perspective. And and like for me, I used to lack this knowledge a lot, and finance was something that I used to be kind of scared of. And I think one has to put in a lot of effort more than the other people. So I used to see that it was all, and but you will see that a lot of people are struggling. together. So whenever we used to prepare for our economics test, I would see that all these eco students they've gone back and they've slept in their rooms, and all these architects and engineers are still trying to understand.
So we
So
don't we so that is not an issue because
yeah,
architects have a lot of you say
night,
practice
yeah,
staying a long way
all
like
nighters, yes,
all
yes.
night. No, we have been drafting the sheets and
Yeah.
all.
So that all-nighters help for sure. And
Yeah.
because your brain is so trained to work for 24 hours together without a sleep, so that is something that helps you along the
Yeah,
way.
I read
Yeah.
somewhere that they say that architecture is a very difficult field, and if we are doing architecture, so we can do anything, right?
Anything is easy for us. That is
Yeah.
absolutely true. Yes.
So next we come to a question which says that who all were your companions in the MBA? Like what all fields students were all from
Okay.
which fields?
So primarily the class comprises of engineers primarily, and then second, then there are students from economics background, students from finance background. A few of them are also from design background. Some people come
Okay.
from NIFT, some people, yeah, come from fashion design background as well. And then there are doctors also, some are dentists, so it's a mix of a lot of things, but primarily like most of the class would be 60 will comprise of engineers, and then
Mhm.
a little bit of here and there. And also it was a mix in terms of work experience and people. A lot of them came straight out of colleges, and once you're sitting in the classroom with them, so I had 1 year of work ex, and also architecture is 5 years of course, so anyway this is 6 years. And then there are some people who have just done 3 years of economics course, and so you're actually 3 years elder to them, and you're sitting in the same classroom. Then there are people who are elder to you also, so a lot of difference of opinion comes, and you see through a lot of different lenses. So I think that is a very important part when some people think that distance learning is a good option. Maybe I can just understand it from online courses. So I think this is where it differs. So one should actually go for an online instead of online. They should go for a classroom program.
Okay. So like there are then there's in the firms there are like business administrative people
Yeah.
and there are another people who are very professional in their fields, and you are coming from a architecture background.
Yeah.
So first of all, like you might have faced a lot of issues as you have already told that in the MBA also you faced a lot of issues earlier, but then you managed doing that. So in the firms when you are working, when you did your internship, so, did you face any particular set of issues, which can be like students can come up and they can understand those things?
Yeah, I think one of the things is to have a kind of knowledge about the industry, which you might not. So when my internship was also in Titan, my summer internship was also there, and I was working with Titan I Plus. So in order to understand the aspects, so I was working in customer relationship. So and to understand what does the customer want, it's kind of an advantage because as architects we are trained to understand the user's minds. So we are trained to understand what does our client want, and if suppose let's say if we're designing a school, so we want to understand what is going on in the minds of the students, what's going on in the mind of the teacher, and that's how we design the spaces. Similarly, once you're into MBA, you try to understand how all these decisions are going to impact your customer. So instead of those clients, now it's customers. So it's like a parallel that you can draw between the two. So it is easier, but it just becomes a little difficult when the other person thinks that maybe you don't have the capability. So you have to convince that person in some aspect. That is the only thing that is a little difficult.
All right. So now we have another question which says that I am in BA Interior Design final year.
Okay.
I come from a furniture business family background, so I want to get into entrepreneurship courses. Should I take MA Interiors or MBA or M Design in product design or furniture design? It's a good
Okay.
question. Yeah.
So if suppose I think if he or she they want to go for their own firm, if like entrepreneurship is the goal, I think it might be good for them to not go for an MBA.
Mhm.
If they already made their mind that it's going to be furniture design, so I think a specialization in that field is something that will help them a lot more. If they want to still learn a few aspects of MBA, they can anyway do that from courses which are available online. I think that will help them a lot. And otherwise, if they want like things like if they want to market their firm, something of that sort, so there are external helps available. You don't have to spend 20 lakhs to learn something like this and waste 2 years of your life on that if you actually have an ultimate goal of opening your own firm. So I think that is they should go for a specialization instead of going for an MBA.
Right. So we are talking about specialization. So there's a question by Kaushik. He says, can you give a brief about MBA in construction management after B.Arch and about the career options after that?
Okay. So construction management, it's like you have to. So basically, there'll be a team of people that you will be managing. That team will comprise of architects. That team will comprise of designers, structural engineers, civil engineers, and what your role will be primarily is to understand how to make like the project has to come and to be delivered in a certain period of time. So you have to manage the entire team. You have to manage everybody's time and inputs, and strategically put steps to things. And this is what construction management primarily is all about. Careers in construction management in India are there are a lot of opportunities. There are people are looking for. There are a lot of new projects that are coming up. So mostly all these builders are the ones who hire construction managers. So you can go freelancing also, or you can join a company and be a construction management manager for that. And the job will comprise of whatever I've said that in terms of managing a whole team. So if that is something that interests you, you should go for that.
All right. Then Akshita is asking, I am architect, graduated in 2017. Now my interest is diverting towards being and working as a HR.
Okay.
Can we enter into human resource field in construction companies? Like it is another very good question
Yeah, yeah.
because
Yes,
HR is a
absolutely.
field which every firm requires.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is actually a very different question, and people, if suppose this is what Akshata wants to do, then I think that it's a very good option, career option. But also at the same time, I'd like to tell her that if she thinks that she will like the aspects of architecture will not be incorporated as much, but yeah, she'll be close to the field that she really enjoyed, I hope. And it's just that HR, once you're in HR and you know that it's for an architectural firm, you'll be able to understand those architects much more than any other HR who's come from a different background. So she will definitely have an edge over the others. So it's a very good option that she can choose.
Right. Then there's a question by Akshay. He says that what is difference between project management and construction management course?
Okay, so I would say that firstly, I am not very sure about the difference myself, to be very honest. But whatever understanding I've also had over the years is that project management is when you get the entire uh, project from the scratch to the end point, is when you're managing the entire project. The construction bit of it is when it comes to construction management. But having said that, I would suggest that they go for a research of their own as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's another question which is somewhat tricky and also
Okay.
criticizing. So, ma'am, you mean to say there are no jobs in architecture, so we should do MBA now?
No, no, no. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I'm suggesting that the people who want to leave the field, if suppose there are reasons that they think that it's not as satisfactory as they thought it would be once they were joining the field, is when they can decide to do this. Like I said, that of jobs, there are a lot of jobs in architecture. If there are no jobs, then people are creating jobs. I know so many people who've opened their own firms, and that's also a way to go. So there is no dearth of jobs anywhere, and it's neither in architecture nor in MBA. But the reason for doing an MBA has to be extremely strong. It cannot only solely be dependent on a particular reason, like making money. But yeah, that's what I think. So I am not suggesting anybody to leave architecture. I think if you love the work that you're doing, then you should stick to it. But if you think that it's not as much fun as you thought it would be in the beginning, then the switch can be a good thing.
See, in case of this, I would say that architecture is a fun. It's a fun field, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a creative thing. So if we talk about the job, so we are never certain about anything. So
Correct.
you cannot say ki I'll do this degree and I'll get a job. I'll do
Yeah,
engineering, I'll get a job. I'll do MBA, I'll get a job. So
yeah,
it all comes with your hard work, what you put into the field, and how you manage to work in the field, right?
correct.
Now there's another question by Tejas, and he says, I am at my final year and I'm thinking of doing masters. First of all, which field should I choose in order to do masters? And also, is it sensible to do MBA after masters?
MBA after masters.
Yeah,
If suppose if I'll assume that by masters they mean masters in architecture
hmm,
and not M design or anything. So if you're
exactly.
looking for masters in architecture, then that's adding 2 years to whatever, so 2 to 5 years. If they don't have a work experience, then it's 7 years of knowledge that they've acquired for a particular field. And I think to give up on that and then go for an MBA, the reason has to be extremely strong for that. I have not seen any case where anybody has done an MBA post an M.Arch. So I would suggest otherwise. But I think it will depend. So if they want to make a choice, they should make a choice right now instead of delaying an MBA post that, because all of this is a lot of time, effort, and a lot of money that goes into the system. When will you start earning and start repaying on all the money that you know spent on these 9 years of education? That will be a lot to handle.
Right. So now there's a point which says that should we go in for an online MBA or should we go in for a physical MBA? You have already discussed for
Yeah,
this.
so yeah, sure, I'll
Uh,
take this up. Yeah, so I think when it comes to online, now the case is that now almost all the MBAs become an online MBA
yeah,
because of the situation we're in. But I think one should. It depends on what you want to do. If suppose you think that, like I said, if suppose you think that you're opening your firm is the ultimate goal for you, then an online MBA can also help you. It can aid you because you will, alongside with it, you can do a lot of other things. You can brush up on your skills, and these things are going to add up to your skills. But if you're looking for a job switch and if you're looking for a sector switch, and you want to go for any other sector, so then an MBA in the classroom program is essential because you understand the different perspectives that come with it. You understand how to work in a team, and that is the most important aspect in a job, because everything will be the projects will be in teams, so everything you'll handle in teams. So you need to understand how to gather different perspectives and still make your own point, which is why all these GDs and are essential to come up to a conclusion. It's not always about fighting, but to keep your point across and to come up with a solution. So I think it depends which case you want to go for.
very right. So in this case, I would also like to add that in case of an architecture, you should always going for the Zonasas and NASAs,
Yes.
the competitions which are there. So students should take up those competitions. They should do some leadership programs while degrees. And if you are going for the fields like MBA or any other post graduation, so in that case,
Yeah.
these skills will help you a lot.
To add to
Yeah,
this,
exactly.
like you said, Zonasa and NASA, I think this was also one of the points when I realized that I like the fact that, when it comes to management. So I was the unit secretary for my college, and that is like the one who represents the college in Zonasa and NASA.
USEX.
And yeah, USEX, yes. So, and I was also the designee, and then I became the unit secretary. And I realized during that time, when you're leading a pack of 40 of the brightest people from your college, and there are seniors and there are juniors, and you understand how to make and form teams which are going to represent your college the best. So that aspect is also very crucial. If you can get to a role like that in when you're doing your architecture, then it's going to help you a lot, because that helped me in my interview also. So I could prove it to them that yes, I have taken up these kind of leadership roles in the past.
So Vishnu is asking, is there any correspondence course for MBA? Yeah, there are a lot of
Yeah,
correspondence courses. So you can take up the courses from any online platforms, right?
yeah.
And now it's a very important question, which says that should we do MBA from India or abroad? Should we
Yeah.
apply for Indian universities or colleges, or should we step out and go abroad for the MBA?
Yeah, so again, so firstly, one of the things that I want to point out is when you're going for an MBA abroad, you need to have a work experience of 3 to 4 years. Otherwise, they will not give you an MBA degree. They will give you a Masters in Management degree. And an MIM is something which the freshers get, and that is not an equivalent to an MBA degree. So it's like a precursor to these MBA degrees, if you can put it that way. And so therefore, once you're going abroad, you need to have that kind of relevant experience as well, because once you're applying with your SOPs and stuff like that, you need to write why you want to do this. So abroad is a little tricky that way, but when it comes to MBA in India, excluding ISB's case, if you look at all these IIMs and all these management institutes, all the top ones, all of them accept freshers as well. So here also, it's so the courses are the same, the kind of structure is also the same. But if you get it done from any of the top tier institutes, either it's in India or it's abroad, it will going to benefit you in the same way, in a similar manner.
So that hardly makes a difference whether you're going here or you're going abroad.
Yeah, but
So
you have to, yeah, look at the work
yeah,
experience also.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now there's another question. Can we get to study 1 year MBA and still have good job opportunities? If so, can you suggest some colleges?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question if you
Akshata is again saying that can we get to study 1 year MBA
okay.
and still have good job opportunities? If so, can you suggest some colleges to do that?
I'm not very sure of the colleges part of it, but yes, there are some colleges in India also, as well as abroad, that provide a 1 year MBA. But you will have to see to it that if the placements is a part of the entire package or not. There are times because it's a 1 year MBA, so they kind of compress everything, all those 2 years of knowledge into 1 year. So it could be a possibility that placement is not the goal for them, but to just educate you in terms of all the courses. So please look wisely to firstly try and understand what are the opportunities that you will get from the institute, because that becomes your launch pad. That becomes your starting point to the industry. So that is very important. You should understand that aspect as well.
So there's again another question by Pratik. He says, M.Arch in architecture, sorry, construction management or MBA in construction management? Which one is better? This is tricky.
So yeah, which I can't say which one is better, because like they're very different. You can't compare the two. But if you think that if you think that you can do something like a marketing or an HR or a operations, finance, all of these, then you should go for an MBA. It has to. So all of this will depend on what is your ultimate goal. Where do you see yourself 5 years, 10 years down the line? And that is the main thing that will help you make a decision, informed decision at this moment. So I think that is very important. So you should look backwards. First you understand where the future is, and then you come back and start looking at where is the next option, like what is the next step that I need to take.
Right. And then if I have to open my own firm, then will doing MBA be helpful? If yes, then how? I was also a U6, so this is by Sarthak.
Okay. Okay. Hi, fellow USEC. So, I would like to say that because if you're a USEC, you might have had an idea of the management aspects to it. But if ultimately your goal is to open your own firm, I would suggest that spending 20 lakhs is a big amount of money that you spend. So if that 20 lakhs is better utilized in marketing your firm that you're working in, or getting in more projects, or to build up like an infrastructure for your office, that will help you better. And the information and the knowledge that you want from an MBA course, that can kind of be given to you. Now, one of the things is, like I said, that in terms of understanding how to work in teams and how are all the courses done, that you will not require, because you're opening your own firm. You will be the leader there, and it will be teams which are under you. So it will be sort of like a hierarchical thing. So you have to understand that that is something which can be put on a back burner. You don't need to invest 2 years into it. But if you still think that is something that is going to add to your knowledge, then please do research on your own part as well. My suggestion would be to you that this is not required. Yeah.
So it is very important to do your own research.
Yes, I am repeating this again and again, because I shouldn't be. Nobody should come back to me and say that
Then,
she
then
said.
then then somebody will pinpoint and say Tanya ma'am just said that you should do this, and then
So
it was
that which
not
is,
done.
yeah, because everybody, it's a very unique case for everyone, and
Yeah.
you can't have one solution, one size fit all. So that's why.
Right. So then there's a question. Nowadays, we have online sites for quick certifications like Udemy and
Yes.
Coursera, which offer free and also paid courses, right? And getting certificate in any MBA stream through certification, getting a certificate in any MBA stream, does that help to get a job?
Does it help to get a job?
Yeah.
It it could also. It depends on what you're looking at. Let's say if I look at one example, let's say if you're doing a course in digital marketing and you've understood all the aspects of it, you've got yourself certified, then you can go as a freelancer and you can show your certificates that you've worked on these courses, and people can hire you for sure. But if you're looking for a bigger job switch, if you're looking for something of a better role and not just like project wise, it shouldn't be project wise, but it's like a permanent role basis, then a degree will be something which is beneficial. A degree is always beneficial than a certificate. There are people who do certificates along with the degree also, so that is the competitiveness in the industry these days.
Right. And okay, Jaya is asking, how did you apply and prepare for internship in Titan?
Okay, so for the application part, the institute only provides that. So there are a lot of companies that come on campus, and for the summer recruitment, this usually happens 2 3 months. Once you enter the college, it just usually happens 2 3 months down the line. And so that was the application part. They ask you for your CV. They ask you to give a test for them. Then there's a psychometric test also for Titan. Post that, then there is a GD and a PI. And once you so in terms of preparation for the GD, you have to understand what is happening in the current scenario. The preparation is going to be very similar to the preparation that you will do for joining an institute. So the preparation it'll comprise of things like you have to understand what is happening in the current scenario. You have to have your own opinions on things. Second part of it is the personal interview. There, once you've understood that this is the company that you're applying for, this is the role that you're applying for, you need to, for your own understanding and better knowledge, you need to understand this. Where can you kind of bring in an edge? Where can you help them in their business? And how you, as an architect or someone with this many years of work experience, fit in their own scheme of things and help them. So that is the question that is the most important to work on. Otherwise, also you need to understand your own strengths and weaknesses and entire personality, because that is the thing that they're hiring for. Yeah.
Right. Now, Thangaraja is asking, ma'am, could you please mention some unique skills that you learned from MBA?
Unique skills. I
Yeah.
think one of the things, the most important is to structureize your thought process. When it comes to an MBAs, you usually see that, like I'm talking in terms of generalization, that most of them have a structured thought process of going about things. They realize that there are different aspects to any situation, any problem. So that problem solving skills are also added. Day to day life, then there are things like networking skills, when you try and understand how to go about and strike a conversation with other people, how to make business come out of the whole networking process. So these are some of the soft skills. And when it comes to hard skills, then there are things like you learn a lot of softwares as to how to. Then it becomes stream specific. Yeah. So these are
So,
kind of the skills. Yeah.
so management in case of an MBA is a very generic term, and management involves a lot of another skills as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So uh, now Siddharth is asking, what would be your one key advice for students who have enrolled in MBA this year or are in second year of their course? One key advice for students.
The people who have enrolled
Yeah,
already
you
and the
do
ones who
have enrolled or they are in the second year.
I think one of
Firstly,
the
for who have enrolled this year.
Okay, I think one of the most important advice is to be up to date with the situation that is at hand, the pandemic, and how it is changing all these industries. I think one needs to understand that a lot is going to change. Like everybody keeps talking about the fact that it's not going back to normal. We'll have to live with a new normal. So anybody who has gone into an MBA now, they need to understand what the new normal is going to be, what is these digitizations that are happening in the companies, and how to keep themselves updated with it. some things are going to change, and how they can also add to the change, also add to their knowledge. And the ones who are already, like the ones who are 1 year into the program, the people who are in the second year, a lot of them are in agony in terms of where the jobs are going to be, and what is going to happen in terms of like what are the placements that are going to look at the placement aspects of it. So in my opinion, the economy is going to rise in some time, but it will take some time. So one needs to be a little prepared of trying to build themselves up in terms of their hard skills, and when it comes to sort of a self-sustaining model. But having said that, then there are jobs that are available, so one needs to just keep upskilling themselves every minute, and just be updated.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mansi is asking, I don't enjoy being an architect because of monotonous life and low paying jobs. Okay.
Okay.
Why monotonous, Mansi? Mansi, architecture is not a monotonous thing. And
Yeah.
when you are a student, then it is fine. Otherwise, after the degree, it is fine. It is very enjoyable. I so I'll continue. I don't enjoy being an architect because of the monotonous life and low paying jobs. I am more interested in management. Is it advisable to do construction management or any MBA? I want to stay in touch with architecture.
Okay, so
We
firstly, I would
already
want
discussed,
to,
yeah.
yeah, I sort of discussed it. But one thing that I'd like to say is that I am not understanding the bit when you're saying that, like, you absolutely think that it's monotonous, but you still want to stay in touch with the field. So that is something that you will have to figure out on your own, whether you want to completely go out of the field or you want to have a connection with it. Rest again, like I've already discussed when it comes to the difference between construction management and MBA. So that is something that's going to sustain. Yeah.
Right. So another question is, will my B.Arch percentage will play a key role in getting an MBA college?
It will, yes, of course, it will add to the academic diversity. So there are two diversities that all these MBA institutes look for. One is the gender diversity if you're a female. So they add a few points because of the fact that you're a female, because they want to have a gender ratio that they want to maintain. Second is the academic diversity. If a lot of architects have not already applied to their institute, then you will get an edge because you are coming from a different background. So that academic diversity points, it's not a fixed number of points. It will vary from different institute and different years, because then it will depend if suppose a dentist has come. So that is a little more of an diversity than an architect, because there could be a possibility that 5 architects have applied but only one dentist has applied. So it then depends on that. But yes, of course, there will be definitely, you will get an edge on both these aspects.
Right. Then now there's a question from architect Nagendra ji, and he's saying how MBA is helpful for an architect. How job prospects will be more after MBA. We have
Uh,
already discussed, but if you can elaborate on this.
Job prospects, of course, it widens the job prospect. Once when you only have an architectural degree, you have a particular area of the market open for you. But once you've got your MBA degree, then the entire gamut of things open. It's just that because all the companies require managerial roles, all the corporates require someone to head them and lead them. So therefore, the job aspects, of course, is going to widen. Again, it depends on what you want to do and where you want to go, if this is going to add to your scheme of things or not.
So I think we have almost taken up all the.
Okay.
One question is like, which is the best college for doing MBA in India?
The best college
Yeah.
will be any of the IIMs, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, or Calcutta. These are the best ones.
And
Then also,
how to enter those colleges when you are a very average student?
you have to study. You have to study a lot. And please don't assume that because you're an architect, you will get advantage over everybody else. So that is not going to happen. You have to be very sharp with your skill set before you go for it. Because there are so many architects who are trying to switch their stream this time. So competition within them is also huge. So I think hard work is the key for it. There is no other way to go about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, how will be MBA in urban management and governance for B.Arch graduate. I'm not. So first of all, how would it be to do a MBA in urban management? First of
So I'll be honest when I say I'm unaware of this. Urban management and governance is something that I have not. I don't have anybody in the vicinity who's done something like that. So you will have to do your own research. I'm sorry, I won't be able to help you in this one.
it's okay
Yeah,
then. Uh, Scope of MBA after architecture for an architect. So we have already
yeah.
discussed it. So now I suppose we have taken up all the questions,
Okay.
and thank you, Tanya,
Thank you so much.
for like coming and discussing about this field. And it was very nice talking to you, and it was a very healthy discussion. And I think people who have joined us, students who have joined us, all those who have their questions, all the queries have been answered. And if not, you can just write down your questions in the chat
Sure.
box. We'll just send your queries to Tanya, and she can anyways answer those queries later on. All right.
Sure, sure.
So
Thank you so much for
uh,
having me.
thanks a
And
lot, Tanya. Thanks a lot. And I would like to thank all the participants, all the audience who have joined us on YouTube. And for any further queries, you can just pen down your queries in the chat box. And I would request you to kindly like, share, and subscribe our channel. We'll be coming up with all these sessions in near future as well. So you can just subscribe and you will get the notifications. So thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks a lot again, Tanya.
thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much.